It's common to use an online legal service provider for entity formation as an example. And the challenge with that is, as a legal consumer, you may not know what you're looking for and how to answer the questions they're asking. And an attorney will help you guide you through that process so that you make sure that the documentation, in this case for the LLC, an operating agreement or a shareholders agreement for a corporation, has the right terms in it, because every state has different variations of laws around limited liability companies and ownership and what happens when someone dies or someone gets divorced. Those need to be accounted for. And there's no reason for you as a non-lawyer to know how that should be worded or what that should be worded. An operating agreement is a foundational document to your business, and it may seem wise to save money and just use a form you found on the internet or from a legal service provider, online legal service provider, but it's worth the investment to get a bespoke agreement for your company that really reflects what you're thinking. Another form that people like to find on the internet using the Google or whatever search engine they're using that day is a non-disclosure agreement. These agreements have become so innocuous and they are everywhere that you may think they're all the same, but they are far from the same. And the way they can be different is pretty astounding. For example, in a non-disclosure agreement, the party receiving the information may actually have a provision in there that says, in English, translated from legalese, we don't actually have to keep your information confidential. It's literally written in legalese so that it lets the party receiving the information off the hook to the point where there's really no confidentiality. But it looks like there's confidentiality because of the way that it's written. And so grabbing a form from the internet can actually cause more harm than good if you're going to use a non-disclosure agreement. It's, again, better to get one that's specifically crafted for your uses. It's not that I don't like self-help legal. I was a big fan of No Load Press, which was the original self-help provider, started by hippies who went to Berkeley. The difference is that when you get a no-load book, you're getting a whole book that does a lot of explaining of what that contract that you're going to copy from their books are. Then when you go and answer some questions and get the documents filled out, situations I've encountered because of online forms or online legal service providers range from literally someone did not intend to co-own a company with somebody else, but they pulled a form from a well-known law firm that makes forms available for free and pulled the wrong form and then basically ceded 50% of their company to somebody else. I've dealt with situations with operating agreements that didn't have a very important clause when you have two people who co-own a business together, 50-50 partners, 50-50 membership interest. Because if you get to a point where you can't agree, unless you have certain language in your operating agreement in most states, your only option is for one member to buy out the other member.